Hello. Hi. We're here. We're on. We're live. Happy day, happy life, happy journey, happiness all around. Here we are. And I am so grateful to be here. My name is John Jacob Mubarak, and I am an Agape licensed spiritual practitioner, and I'm one of the directors here at Rythmia. And I am coming to you live from Rythmia in beautiful Guanacaste, Costa Rica. Man, what a place. It is so beautiful right now. Life is resurging here. We're coming out of the dry season, and the rainy season is here. And so it is vibrant and lush, and life comes back like in an instant. In an instant, it transforms. The force of life. Hey, Sherry, how you doing? This is what's so beautiful about the realization that no matter how dead it was before, how the appearances of a desert transformed into the lush tropical environment that we find ourselves in right now. Isn't that a great metaphor for where we find ourselves and the possibility of transformation? That each moment that we have is bristling full with potential and possibility. Each person is an undiscovered nation, ready to be explored, right? If we approached life with that each moment is full of infinite potential and possibility, and each person that we encounter is an undiscovered territory. How amazing would we meet life? Would we be meeting life? So this brings me to the topic. I want to say, hey, Mia and Autumn and Tammy and Anthony, what's up? Y'all coming in for I Am the Miracle. So I Am the Miracle, typically on Saturdays, we do our I Got My Miracle talk, right? And it's typically with a guest here that's been here the week and got their miracle, and we're sharing that. So we still wanted to present something on this day. And so we changed it to I Am the Miracle, because the miracles are happening every moment, each moment full of infinite potential, bright with possibility. And colonic Sally. Let me say, Sally, you really bring out the worst in me. Okay. I crack myself up, I tell you. Break myself up. So anyway, so here we are. The topic today, I Am the Miracle. And the topic that came to me was I wanted to share with you an experience that I had in a ceremony, because this is supposed to be about ceremony. And I also wanted to share with you this idea, this teaching. So the idea is, it's not the past that trips us up. It's not the past that's holding us back. It's our story about the past. It's not the past that's holding us back. It's our story, the story that we tell ourselves about the past. It's not what happened. It's what we tell ourselves about what happened that holds us up. So here we come to the metaphysical principle that we live in a dimension of reality that appears real, and yet it's not, because it's changing. And the only thing that can be real, what's real is unchanging. What's real is eternal. Anything that's not eternal, anything that's ephemeral, isn't real, because it changes. And reality, with a capital R, is truth. And the truth is always the same. It doesn't change. It's always the same. So the presence of God, the presence of ayahuasca, the presence of the spirit of the plants, the presence of intelligence, the presence of wisdom never change. They're always the same. And so how can we, I'm just looking, I came to a dream. I can't, Tammy, if I'm coming into your dreams, there's something wrong. I'm joking. So, okay, back. So, if the presence, if what we call God, if what we call intelligence and wisdom and truth are unchanging, then that's real. Then what we are experiencing here isn't real. And yet, if we walk in front of a bus, chances are you'll be experiencing a different dimension. Right? Like, so there's this multi-dimensional chess game that's happening, right? There's the level of what's happening in our reality, our changing reality, where things come and go and ebb and flow, and there's duality. And then there's this other level where things are occurring, a dynamic level of unfolding that is yet unchanging. So in that way, we can say that what the appearances are isn't real, and yet we're experiencing them. So when we as practitioners, when I see a client, when I see private clients, and many times people come to me for prayer around illness, right? So when we say, for example, that the body is perfect, we're not denying the illness that that person is experiencing. What we're saying is that we are offering a different interpretation of wholeness. That the appearance of, like the appearance of dirt that's dry and dead on the ground, changes in an instant and is resplendent with life. In the same way, the appearance of illness can change in an instant and be resplendent with wholeness. So we speak to that, where our interpretation, we're not interpreting what we see, we're looking past that to a truth. And in bringing our awareness to that truth, we transform our experience. And so when we say then that it's not what happened in the past, but our story about what happened in the past that holds us up, what we're saying in essence is that appearances are not real. That appearances aren't real. We're not denying the experience. What we're saying is the unreality of that experience lies in our interpretation of it. The unreality of our experience lies in our interpretation of it. The unreality of the past lies in the story we tell ourselves about it. And so, in this way, we become an agent of co-creation for the unfolding of ourselves, for our own unfolding and endless expansion. So let's take this into something. This is where I wanted to share with you around ceremony. So in ceremony, I went into ceremony one time, and my intention was show me why I'm not enough, why I feel I'm not enough, right? Because I was looking at all these questions about why don't I have confidence, and why don't I see in myself what other people see in me, and why am I constantly comparing myself to others? And it all came down to not enough, right? All of those questions kind of lead back to ultimately I don't feel enough. And that's a common, normal human experience. One of the, everything, it all kind of leads back to not enough, fear of annihilation, fear, some sort of fear, doubt, worry, right? And usually those fear, doubts, and worries are around not enoughness. And so I went into ceremony and I said, two things. I want to be enchanted. My intention was for enchantment. To be enchanted with life and to walk in wonder and awe, right? And then I also wanted to know, why don't I feel enough? So I drink and get into that spot, and a few hours into the ceremony, I'm outside, and it is beautiful. I mean, it's just this beautiful Costa Rican night, and the moon is full up above, and there's clouds, and the moon is just like the clouds lit by the moon. The clouds were behind the moon. It looked like, or around the moon rather. And so you could see the moon and the clouds all around it, and it was so beautiful, and I'm enchanted. I'm like, oh yes, wonder and awe. Everything just looked so miraculous. And then I ask Mother, why don't I feel enough? And in ceremony, you hear the voice of your soul. You hear the voice of your higher self. You hear the voice of the mother. You hear the voice of the medicine so clearly. Like never before you hear it. And so I asked the question, why don't I feel enough? And you know what the answer was? She just almost dismissive. She goes, you're enough. Next. Like, you're enough. Like, not even, okay, that question is so silly, I don't even know where to begin. You're enough. You're more than enough. So sometimes when we, you know, it's not just about saying I'm enough, but there was a deep realization in that moment that my story about my not enoughness was what was holding me up. It wasn't my enoughness or not enoughness, it was my story about not being enough. And she just wiped that all away in one, like, you're enough. Like, okay, really, this question? You're enough. I've given you everything. Like, more than enough. I've given you everything. Everything. Nothing is being withheld from you. So don't tell me you're not enough. But none of that was said. Only thing that was said was, you're enough. You're enough. Like, enough. So let's take a look and see if there's a, you know, so here we are in this deep realization that we have the power. We have the power. There's no power outside of us making us feel a certain way. There's no circumstance that happened no matter how traumatic our past has been. No circumstance that is more powerful in our ability to respond to it. Viktor Frankl, in his book, Man's Search for Meaning, you know, he was a Holocaust survivor. His entire family were murdered in the concentration camps. He was in the concentration camp. Didn't think he'd survive. And he said that the only power that we have, is in our ability to respond to external stimuli. That's where our power lies. No one can take that from us. And so it is our ability to respond, our ability to interpret, to offer a new interpretation of the past, in which is where our power lies. It is our responsibility. Our ability to respond is our responsibility. It's our responsibility to not be at the effect of other people's stories about us, at the effect of the way, even when those stories are so powerful that they physically affect us. How can we, you know, through discrimination, through violence, through hatred, our power is our ability to respond to that external stimuli. How are we going to respond? Who do we declare ourselves to be? What is our intention? So if my intention is to be enchanted and to know that I'm enough, then nothing can come near my dwelling place. Nothing. I shall not be moved. I shall be in the world, but not of it. Right? This is the power of our interpretation about circumstance, our interpretation about our present situation, our interpretation about our past. Our power resolves the unreality of those stories, lies in our interpretation of them. And so our ability then becomes, how do I interpret? Is it happening to me or is it happening for me? Is there a lesson or a blessing in this? Am I open to see it? And can I just be with it? Can I just be with what is so? This is really, instead of reacting, right, our ability to open up gently to what is coming at us in life, in acceptance and surrender. To hear those words, acceptance and surrender, is our power. Now, I'm not talking about being a doormat. I'm not talking about not being righteously indignant when atrocities occur. I'm not talking about denying what's so. What I'm talking about is our ability to reinterpret what's occurring in a powerful way that allows us to be a co-creator of who we declare ourselves to be. So this is the power of interpretation. This is the power of how do we interpret the past? I was talking to a client earlier who has shared with me some really awful things about their relationship with their mother. Something that no child should experience. And yet, do we lie in victimhood around that experience? Or do we say, I have some agency here, and I am not that story that my mother told me? And it's not denying this experience that they had, because we have to be with it. There's no healing comes from suppression. No healing comes from bypassing, right? The feeling of it is the healing of it. We must feel it to heal it. And in the feeling of it, we release those old patterns that have been blocking us, those old stories that get embedded in the very fiber of our being. So it's in that way we can say it's not about the past or what happened, but our story about it and how we're going to interpret it. Because I know, is that actually that past situation? Is it a pearl? Is there a pearl of wisdom there in which I can say, I would never have wanted to go through that. However, on the other side of it, I can see that I'm not the same person, and I wouldn't be the same person that I am today if I hadn't had experienced that, no matter how traumatic it was. I know each of us can look back in our lives and see a place, a circumstance or an event that we said, boy, if I knew before what was coming, I would not have wanted to go through it. However, there's something rich for me now that even though I didn't want to go through that, this made me who I am today. It gave me the strength that I have today. It built the character that I have today. It gave me the ability to see things in a different way that I have today, that I wouldn't have. And so therefore, every lesson becomes a blessing. Every lesson becomes a blessing. In this way, we take agency. We become powerful individuals in interpreting our past and co-creating a new future, because it is the past, our stories about the past that circumscribe and limit our ability to see unlimited possibility in the present moment, and therefore create possibility for the future. So that is our talk today. Let's see. I'm so grateful that you all came and checked us out. So just to recap, a couple of great sayings that came out of the day. It's not what happened in the past, but our story about it. Do not tarry with circumstances, because the circumstances that we experience, the unreality of those circumstances lies in our interpretation of them. It is the healing of it, the feeling of it, that's the healing of it. And it is our responsibility, our ability to respond to external stimuli is our responsibility. Our ability to interpret, to reinterpret, to make a different meaning. What meaning are we making? And how can I make a more powerful meaning, interpretation, one that's life-affirming and supports my intention of endless unfoldment and expansion, my intention of living a life on purpose with a purpose, my intention of living in abundance of peace of mind, health of body, and all material needs met, my intention of harmonizing all of the structures of my life so that I live powerfully in my lifestyle, in my career, in my body temple, with my ego, with my beliefs, with my relationships, with my community, with my service and sacred study. How can I harmonize those areas in my life so that all the structures in my life are supporting me for my ability to achieve that which I am seeking to achieve, opening up to life, unfolding, and being awake, waking up to the truth that each moment is bristling with possibility and potential. And the only thing that circumscribes and limits the infinite potentiality of each moment is our interpretation of it. For there are many, 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 many interpretations. So which one do I choose? Do I choose to serve an interpretation that's limiting? Or do I choose to serve a powerful interpretation that helps me see the infinite potential in this now moment? There we go. So, I am the miracle. You are the miracle. You are the miracle. We are the miracle. Life is a miracle. And we are enchanted. Walking the day after this talk, we go out and walk enchanted in wonder and awe with the magnificence of life in all its varieties. For all of it, there is a powerful interpretation to be had. What is your interpretation? All right. I'm going to put a period on it right there. Peace and blessings. We'll see you soon.